Hello and welcome to the Strikers-Coroner. This is another episode of the Sportsaholiq podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Today I'm diving into the massive idea, literally and figuratively. We're talking about how the UFC could create something the sport has never seen before, a women's heavyweight division. And to really explore this, we're going to go all the way in. The history, the logistics, the scouting, the controversies, the business opportunities, everything. So buckle up, because at the end of this episode, you're going to see that the women's heavyweight division isn't just possible, it's actually inevitable if the UFC wants to keep evolving. Let's start here. Women's MMA has grown faster in the last 12 years than almost any other combat sport on the planet. In 2012, Dana White said women would never fight in the UFC. In 2013, Ronda Rousey walked in and changed the entire sport. Today, we've had women superstars from 115 to 145. Rousey, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm, Chris Cyborg, Shevchenko, Zhang Weili. But after featherweight, nothing. The UFC stops at 145. No lightweight, no welterweight, no middleweight, no heavyweight. Meanwhile, other organizations already have these fighters. There are 165-pound, 175, 185, and even 205-pound women fighting all over the world. But the UFC pretends that they don't exist. The simple question is, why is the world's biggest MMA company ignoring an entire category of athletes? And more importantly, what would it take to finally give these women a platform? That's what I'm exploring today. Let's break a stereotype immediately. There is already a global talent pool of heavier women competing at a high level. The PFL has had a 155-pound division for years. Kayla Harrison dominated it. Larissa Pacheco built a name there. They consistently put on fights with athletes in the 160 to 175-pound range. Invicta FC has lightweight at 155, welterweight at 170, and the occasional middleweight 175-pound bout. Fighters like Sarah Kaufman, Caitlin Young, Stephanie Egger, Cindy Dandos have all competed at higher weights. In places like Poland, Russia, Brazil, Australia, and the UK, there are women competing anywhere from 155 to 210 pounds. Look at women's boxing and kickboxing. Heavyweight women exist. They compete, they win, and they sell tickets. The talent exists, the athletes exist. The only thing missing is the UFC platform. This is important for understanding the solution. There are three main reasons the UFC has avoided heavier women's divisions. The UFC has always believed women divisions sell best when the fighters are fast, technical, and athletic. But heavyweight women can be fast and technical. The UFC just hasn't invested in showing that. The UFC worried about thin rosters, too few athletes, and difficulty scouting. But that was the same fear before they launched women's bantamweight and strawweight. Both divisions exploded once they gave athletes a platform. Because Ronda Rousey was at 135, the UFC built divisions around her weight range. Everything above 145 just got ignored. But Ronda retired, Cyborg left, Amanda Nunes is gone now too. The women's side needs something fresh. A heavyweight division is the next frontier. This is where it gets interesting. Let's talk about the real blueprint for making this happen. To build heavyweight, you can't go from 145 to 265. You need stepping stones. A realistic structure would look like 155, 170, 185, 205, and then the 205 plus for heavyweight. The UFC doesn't need to add all these at once. They can launch Phase 1, women's lightweight, 155. Phase 2, welterweight, 170. Phase 3, middleweight and heavyweight. But heavyweight becomes much stronger when there are feeder divisions right below it. The UFC has a formula for launching a new division. They scout from Invicta, PFL, Bellator, now absorbed from the PFL, European and Brazilian promotions, WWE recruits, boxing and Muay Thai circuits, judo, wrestling, rugby, powerlifting, and football athletes. Think about heavyweight men. Many great UFC heavyweights come from NFL backgrounds, rugby backgrounds, wrestling backgrounds, not pure MMA. Same can happen with women. There are thousands of female athletes between 160 to 240 pounds in NCAA wrestling, professional rugby, powerlifting, boxing, judo, football leagues, and even CrossFit, all waiting for a place to compete. If the UFC really wants to build a women's heavyweight division, this is how you do it. The Ultimate Fighter heavyweight women's division, or the 155 to 205 tournament. This would introduce 16 new fighters, build rivalries, show personalities, create hype, and instantly legitimize the division. This is exactly how the UFC built women's strawweight, women's flyweight, men's flyweight, and the entire lightweight era, and many stars over 25 seasons. At heavyweight women's tough season, it would be historic. People would tune in just out of curiosity and stay because the division would actually be entertaining. The UFC could announce a 4 or 8 women bracket for the first heavyweight belt. Every fighter becomes a big moment. Every athlete becomes known. Every matchup tells a story. You don't need 30 fighters in a new division. You need 8 great ones and a plan to grow. Let's go deeper because this isn't just possible, it's smart business. Right now, women's basketball is reaching historic TV numbers. Women's soccer is drawing record crowds. Women's boxing has global stars. NCAA women's sports are booming. Sponsorship money is at an all-time high. The UFC is missing out on a huge wave. A new division, new stars, and new revenue. We've never seen women with heavyweight knockout power, heavyweight grappling strength, heavyweight judo throws, heavyweight ground and pound. Picture a female Derek Lewis or a female Daniel Cormier or a female Tai Tuivasa. These athletes exist, they just don't have a platform in the UFC. Sports lives off of storylines. Imagine the first heavyweight queen, the most powerful woman in MMA. The battle to become the inaugural first heavyweight champion. The UFC could promote this like the Women's Royal Rumble in WWE. New, fresh, unpredictable, and exciting. Dana said, no women in the UFC, no flyweights, no more weight classes, no UFC in certain countries. He has proven over and over if it makes money and builds hype, he'll do it. A women's heavyweight division checks both boxes. The real obstacle, let's be honest, every idea has challenges, but all of these have solutions. Some fans still hold outdated views about what women should look like. The solution? The UFC markets the athleticism, not the appearance. Promotes strength, power, stories, and skill. Shows clips of knockouts, throws, training camps, and conditioning. Once fans see talent, perception changes. Some critics say, are there enough heavyweight women to fill the division? Yes, but they aren't all in MMA yet. Recruit athletes from other sports, run tough, host open tryouts, scout globally, introduce the 155 and the 170 first, then build upward. Talent builds where opportunity exists. This cross-promotional scouting, contender series events, regional feeder promotions, constant signing of new prospects. I mean, the UFC already manages shallow divisions like the 125-pound men's flyweight and the 145 women's featherweight. This would be easier if they actually invest. Less time travel and imagine the rollout. Tough season announces the division, 8 to 16 fighters introduced, first championship crowned, huge pay-per-view moment, instant media coverage. This alone would explode interest. UFC signs 5 to 10 more athletes, rankings start to take shape. Some fighters drop from 170 to 185 to compete, international talents arrive, rivalries form. This is where stars are born. I mean, the stabilization of it would be yearly title defenses, contender series pipeline. UFC introduces 175, 155 as feeder divisions. The roster reaches 20-25 fighters, mainstream attention grows. By this point, fans accept the division as normal, not experimental. Brands love sponsoring women's sports right now. The UFC could pull in apparel deals, supplement companies, shoe brands, energy drinks, health companies, more divisions, more inventory to sell. Heavier female athletes bring new fans, new demographics, new countries, new storylines. This expands the UFC's reach. Whenever the UFC does something for the first time ever, it becomes a massive event. Imagine UFC 350, the first women's heavyweight championship. That sells itself. The new division means more countdown episodes, more embedded series, more contender series fights, more interviews, more highlight reels. The UFC machine feeds on content. Why the time is perfect right now, I'll give you 3 reasons. Amanda Nunes retired. I think she's coming back, but the women's side needs new star power. PFL versus UFC rivalry, adding new divisions widens the gap. Women's sports boom. The UFC can capitalize or get left behind. This is the best moment to take the risk. So when you really look at the landscape, the talent that exists, the business opportunities, the global rise of women's sports, and the UFC needs for fresh divisions, it becomes obvious that women's heavyweight division isn't crazy at all. It's the next logical leap. The UFC expanded from no women to 4 women divisions, and now the next evolution is waiting. Somewhere out there, the future heavyweight queen is training now in a wrestling room, a boxing gym, a powerlifting center, or a regional MMA card. Nobody's watching it. All she needs is a stage. And the UFC is built on giving fighters a chance to shock the world. This has been a Sportsaholiq podcast at the Strikers-Coroner deep dive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, should the UFC finally open a women's heavyweight division? Because after everything we covered today, it's hard to say no. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, peace, y'all.